A 21st century thief breaking into files, not into metal safes. The mysterious group Anonymous has struck again with a warning. This is just the beginning.
Greetings, citizens of the United States. This is a message from Anonymous. Officers who kill people and commit other crimes need to be held accountable just like the rest of us. Otherwise, they will believe that they have a license to do whatever they want. You will claim that this is just the work of a few bad apples. But what of the officers who stand by and do nothing while they commit offenses against the people they encounter?
They're coming. Anonymous finally breaks silence on aliens. For as long as we can remember, one of the biggest and most consequential questions about our world has been whether we're alone in our universe. Think about it. The space race, NASA, the International Space Station, SpaceX, Blue Origin, you name it. All of these projects and concepts have been developed with the goal of venturing into space to discover whether there truly is alien life, or we humans are destined to walk the expanse of our universe without any visitors. If you believe the experts, this question is one that we'll continue to ask for a very long time. And already, tens of billions of dollars are being poured into this endeavor. However, what if I told you that the answer to this question might already be here? For years now, there have been growing suspicions that aliens actually do exist. Some believe they even live among us today, and we just don't know about it. However, most of these beliefs have been treated as mere speculation, with little proof to back them up. Recently, however, the online hacktivist group Anonymous appears to have blown the lid on this entire conspiracy, and the findings they've provided are truly shocking to say the least.
When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you on air. They did a little bit of research and footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
So what did this group find? And how can these findings shape the way we view our universe? Let's dive deep into it in this video. Who's Anonymous? The world we live in today is very information-driven. Everyone wants to know everything about everyone, and information has easily become the currency of the 21st century. However, even in our quest for information, there's a lot of gatekeeping. You know the drill. Those in power tend to have more access to information than the rest of us, and they even have the power to dictate who gets to see what at every point in time. With a huge segregation of information access, we've seen a growing divide in knowledge. The elite and powerful can use the wealth of information they have to their advantage, while those on the lower class of the social ladder pretty much have to make do with what they can get. Bridging this gap is where online activists have come in. These men and women go about looking for information and helping to shed light on some of the darker parts of our world, so we can all have better knowledge of the secrets that these elites are working so hard to keep from us. And in the land of online activists, none is quite as prominent as Anonymous. To this day, no one knows who's behind Anonymous. That in itself should tell you just how good these guys are. Interestingly, the group itself isn't an organization. Instead, it's a decentralized group of activists and researchers who work online. In fact, some even claim that Anonymous is just a label used by many high-profile hackers to make themselves unrecognizable to both those in law enforcement and the members of the general public. So it's even possible that these hackers don't actually work together. They could collaborate for a common cause, but they might not particularly work with each other regularly. In most cases, Anonymous is associated with protests and demonstrations both online and offline. Their protests usually relate to freedom of speech, where they lead campaigns against corruption and censorship. However, there are also periods where the hacktivist group leads online attacks on popular websites to leak information and shed light on some of the darker, sinister secrets of the rich and powerful. Members of the group are usually called Anons, and when they appear in public, they tend to wear masks of Guy Fawkes, the popular Catholic soldier who was the mastermind behind the failed gunpowder plot of 1605. Some Anons also disguise their voice with online voice modulators, or text-to-speech programs when they share videos on the internet.
Greetings, citizens of the United States. This is a message from Anonymous. Officers who kill people and commit other crimes need to be held accountable just like the rest of us. Otherwise, they will believe that they have a license to do whatever they want. You will claim that this is just the work of a few bad apples, but what of the officers who stand by and do nothing while they commit offenses against the people they encounter?
Over the years, Anonymous has either been directly involved in or taken credit for several incredible online hacks. In March 2011, the group leaked a trove of internal emails from Bank of America, exposing the alleged corrupt and unfair mortgage practices being conducted by the major banking institution. That same year, the group attacked Sony Computer Entertainment after the company sued the popular hacker and software engineer George Hotz for creating and distributing software that allowed PlayStation owners to run homemade software on their consoles. This attack was especially devastating, with Anonymous taking down the entire PlayStation network and launching a massive takedown of different online subsidiaries belonging to Sony. Since then, Anonymous has been on everyone's watch list. In fact, back in 2012, Time magazine called Anonymous one of the 100 most influential people in the world, despite the fact that no one knew who Anonymous even was. Now, because the group is decentralized, there's no official belief system that guides Anonymous. As I said, you could literally have one hacker don the Guy Fawkes mask and launch a crusade against corruption as they see fit, all in the name of Anonymous. However, there are also cases where a small number of hackers could decide to launch an online hacktivist campaign of their own. At the end of the day, if they have a common goal, this is possible. That said, sources have shown that the beliefs of most Anons are non-extremist. They usually engage in online hacks when they see grave injustice or abuse of power being done, or to shed light on specific secrets that they believe should be made known to the general public. Of course, there have also been cases when these hackers band together to help one of their own, such as when the group hit YouTube in January 2010 in response to the site suspending the account of an Anon who had uploaded music to his YouTube channel. So, you see, there are several reasons why Anonymous might get on a cause, but through it all, it's safe to say that one thing is certain. If these guys have something in their sights, they're relentless. The presence of exoplanets. Now, if you've been interested in astronomy or the nature of the universe, then you probably have been told that there are just 7 or 8 planets in our solar system. Well, while it might be tempting to think that this is all there is, the truth is that this doesn't necessarily reflect the entirety of our solar system. When you look outside at night, you'll see millions and millions of stars in the sky, and over the years, many have pondered if any of these stars could have planets revolving around them as well. After all, the sun itself is no more than a star, so if it can have planets in its orbit, then others should be able to do that as well. For years, scientists pondered over this and tried to find out if there was any possibility of other stars being available. However, they were mostly limited by the technology of their time and were unable to make the findings they needed. All of this changed with the invention of advanced technologies like the James Webb Telescope. And due to these, scientists have so far been able to discover well over 5,000 exoplanets, essentially alien planets just waiting to be explored. Basically, an exoplanet is a planetary body that exists outside of our solar system. These planets used to seem out of our reach for the longest time, but with technology continuing to advance, we really never can tell. According to sources, the first exoplanets were discovered in the 1990s. Since then, experts have identified thousands of these planets using a variety of detection methods. That said, we should note that it's pretty rare for astronomers to see an exoplanet through their telescopes the way you might see Saturn through a telescope from Earth. This telescope method is known as direct imaging, and so far only a small handful of exoplanets have been found using this method. To really find these planets, experts have to use high-powered telescopes and other tools that allow them to project into space and explore its expanse. It should also be pointed out that the exoplanets we've seen only represent a small number of options available. They're from just a small sampling of the galaxy as a whole, which means that the count of exoplanets could easily rise to the tens of thousands as time passes. As the number of telescopes being lofted into space rises, the number of exoplanets should also surge considerably. Initially, the discoveries made around exoplanets involved small, gas-like bodies floating in the universe. However, over time, scientists soon discovered that there are smaller ones as well. In fact, scientists have so far discovered around 50 exoplanets with masses strikingly similar to that of the Earth, as well as another 800 with radii that measure less than half than that of our big blue planet. The moment this discovery was made, scientists immediately began to look into whether these planets could support life. As you would imagine, the initial thought here was that these planets couldn't support life, as they were deemed too close to their parent stars. This would mean they wouldn't be able to support life, and there wouldn't be much reason to explore them. Nevertheless, even this knowledge is starting to change. You see, the difference here isn't that many of these exoplanets are close to their stars, it's that the stars themselves are colder and fainter than our sun. And as such, there's a possibility that planets still closer to them could support life. For a perfect illustration of this, consider Gliese 667. This here is a triple star system located in the constellation of Scorpius, just about 23 light years from the Earth. Gliese 667 contains the first discovered example where a low-mass star contains different potentially habitable planets. As I said, Gliese 667 has 3 stars. The first, GL667a, is a K-type, main sequence star that's the largest in the system. Still, this star has just a mass that's roughly 73% that of our Sun. Its visual luminosity is just about 12% of our Sun, meaning it's much less powerful than ours. The smallest GL667c is an M-type red dwarf with a radius and mass that's only about a third of our Sun. So it's pretty much set in stone that all of these stars aren't necessarily as large or as strong as our Sun. Nevertheless, scientists have also discovered something rather interesting. Despite not being as large or as hot as our Sun, GL667c has a rather rich planetary system. So rich, in fact, that scientists believe there are as many as 6 planets in GL667c's planetary system altogether. And of those 6, as many as 3 or 4 could potentially be habitable planetary bodies. These planets have been described as super-Earths, basically planets that are larger than Earth, but which aren't necessarily as large as bigger planets such as Saturn and Jupiter. Scientists believe these planets are usually made up of rocks or a mixture of rocks and ice. At the same time, there could be evidence of these planets supporting life forms as well. Of course, it's still impossible to tell whether this planet really has alien life. However, as experts themselves have stated, it wouldn't necessarily be outlandish to think so. It might not necessarily be an advanced alien species like many think, but the very fact that this planet could include the building blocks of life could signal to existing alien life forms already thriving. Who knows? Maybe these life forms are still in the very early stages of their development and are just waiting to grow. Navy pilot's alien encounter. When it comes to aliens, one of the most prominent things we tend to look out for would be unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. For decades, UFOs have been the perfect representation of alien encounters. Essentially, aliens use these crafts to come to our planet, perform reconnaissance, or attempt to establish contact with humans. And even though there hasn't exactly been public proof that these flying objects actually exist, many have claimed that they've come in contact with them before. For years, most of the claims surrounding UFOs and contact with them have come from random people. These men and women swear with just about everything they have that they came in contact with alien life. But their claims have mostly been met with derision, especially since they have no tangible proof. However, recently, a hacker from Anonymous has leaked some information concerning encounters involving members of the military and a possible UFO. At the same time, the hacker pointed to the story of Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot who went on the record and claimed that he came in contact with an alien UFO while on an official mission. Graves himself has been pretty vocal about his experience. He's given interviews about it, explaining how he came upon what could easily be the most transformative experience of his life, and to hear him tell it, this was quite the encounter. So the story goes like this. Back in 2015, Graves and his team were aboard the USS Roosevelt, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier belonging to the Navy. The team was performing routine checks while the carrier was off the coast of Virginia Beach when they noticed a couple of radar contacts that they believed didn't belong there. So they sent 2 planes to the suspect region to go check things out, and this was where things took a rather interesting turn.
2 aircraft from my squadron were flying out to the area one day. They were about 100 feet or so apart. As they were flying through the area, the lead pilot in this aircraft saw an object zip right by his aircraft. What they described was a dark cube inside some type of clear sphere where the corners of the cube were touching the inside of that sphere. When the crew came back, they were shocked. They're like, hey, we almost hit one of those damn things. There was really no answer of what it was. And so our squadron filed a safety report, and we continued filing reports.
In their report, Graves and his team explained that they had encountered these strange aircraft with no wings, exhaust, intakes, or even a cockpit. Nevertheless, they were able to fly. To make things even more interesting, Graves and his team confirmed they had multiple encounters with these UFOs for several months. However, most pilots who had these encounters generally chose not to comment on it because they were scared of possible blowback or other repercussions. So far, it's been reported that the government keeps records of any UFO reports, especially on encounters made by military personnel. There are well over 10,000 such cases, with some of them dating back to the middle of the 20th century. Nevertheless, even in the face of all this evidence, the government has generally chosen not to act and just sit back. All of this has led to widespread distrust in the government, with many people believing that there's a campaign of secrecy being run by the rich and powerful to hide the truth from the general public. Despite all of this, hackers from the anonymous group have stated that the secrets being hidden by the government will eventually be revealed at some point. Right now, it's just a matter of waiting to see what we get. Aliens are coming. Another interesting topic that hackers from Anonymous have been trying to shed light on recently has been the prospect of aliens actually setting foot on our planet. This might be a bit hard to fathom for most people, but there's definitely some credence to it. And in fact, there are those who believe that the aliens are even already here. Sam Tripoli is one such person who believes that we've been harboring aliens on our planet for quite a while now. The comedian and podcaster has been vocal about his belief that aliens exist among us, and in an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience from back in 2022, he actually shared quite an interesting story. Speaking with Joe Rogan, Sam highlighted the case of Operation High Jump, a United States Navy program commissioned between 1946 and 1947. According to official records, Operation High Jump was commissioned just following World War II. It was led by Admiral Richard E. Byrd, and its goal was to look into the feasibility of establishing a naval base on Antarctica, a continent which at the time was nothing more than a frozen wasteland. Operation High Jump was a huge endeavor. It comprised 13 warships, 33 aircraft, and about 4,700 troops. It was, and still remains, the largest Antarctic military expedition to date. But just 9 months following their departure, the adventurers all came back. Now, according to Sam, records compiled by Admiral Byrd showed that the commander and his crew indeed made contact with aliens on Antarctica.
He basically met with UFOs, Nazi UFOs.
What?
Yes.
Nazi UFOs.
As Sam explained, the Nazis had apparently made a deal with aliens to use their advanced technology in World War II, but for some reason, they never did. He added that the top brass from Operation High Jump eventually went back to then-President Truman and confirmed that aliens indeed existed. So the president made a deal with the aliens, allowing them to conduct human experiments on American soil. Where, you ask? Well, let's just hear from Sam.
And that's where they say Eisenhower made a deal with these aliens. That they could kidnap people and do experiments, but they couldn't just do it anywhere. They had specific places, which were our national forest.
Now, it's worth noting that there hasn't been any official confirmation of this. Nevertheless, a lot of people have continued to come out with what they believe to be proof that aliens are among us. And who knows, maybe the person sitting next to you could be one as well. Over the years, the belief that alien life truly exists has only gotten stronger, and as more people, such as the hackers in the Anonymous group, come forward with what they believe to be proof, you get the increasing sense that we're itching even closer to the truth. Still, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Will we ever come in contact with extraterrestrial life forms? Let us know in the comments.